And what's important to you? For whatever reason, I felt like I didn't feel good about myself if I wasn't doing everything I could to be the best version of myself. If I felt like I left anything on the table, it would eat away at me. I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror. Right? So the reason why I can retire now and be completely comfortable about it, because I know that I've done everything I could to be the best basketball player I could be.
Listen, these practices are meant to be competitive. They're meant to be competitive. If your practices aren't more competitive than the games themselves, you're doing the wrong thing. And most of these teams and coaches have gotten into a mindset of resting players. Oh, it's too much. We're not going to practice light day, light day, light day. Phil never gave us a light day. There's no days off. You show up and you work. And you practice. And practices are going to be worse. They're going to be more physical. There's going to be more trash talking. And I'm going to let you know. Right? If you didn't show up today, I'm going to let you know. And it's going to be embarrassing. And you're going to hate it. But when Game 7 rolls around, the NBA Finals, you will be prepared.
We had a really competitive household with my cousins and my father and my uncle and stuff. Like, we was very competitive, and you had to really, really work to just survive. Like, that's with swimming, that's playing basketball, that's playing video games, just whatever. I mean, it was a shit talking family. Like, when you lose, you not only lose, but you get embarrassed while you lose. You know what I mean? So I grew up in that kind of environment. So you had to work hard just to kind of keep your head above water, sort of thing. And I came into the NBA, I was like, man, these dudes really don't work that hard. It was kind of an eye opener. It was like
as a kid, I said, I want to be the best ever. Right? And now you go through your life and everything you do is try to be the best ever, be the best ever, be the best ever. And as you get older, you start understanding that those things are very superficial things. Right? And everybody has a different opinion about it. No matter what you do, I can win 20 championships. There's always an opinion on who's the best. Everybody has different opinions. And so I started really kind of understanding maybe that's not the important thing. Maybe the important thing is to, how do we as a team grow? How do I help my teammates be better? So that was the first change for me. And then as I got older still, it became more about how are you inspiring others, right, to find themselves. That is the ultimate championship. So won 5 championships, that's great. Another team won a championship this year. Team's gonna win a championship next year. Those things come and they go. But what stays is how do you use your passion and use that to inspire somebody else to create their passion? And then how can they pass that on to the next person? That is true success. Game, and I trained my butt off this summer. I mean, I really went pedal to the metal. So conditioning wise, I'm ready. I prepare myself every game, so I'm ready for that. And I call Kwame Brown and Chris Wimman, those guys, I call them my offensive line. Because they set incredible screens for me to free me up. So it's a collection of things. It's not just me going out there and scoring. I need help from my teammates. And them recognizing when to give me the ball in certain situations. And they set excellent screens for me. They looked for me, made great passes. So, without them, I couldn't have scored 81 points. I mean, they did a great job freeing me up.
I mean, every day. I mean, since, for 20 years. I mean, it was an everyday process and trying to figure out strengths and weaknesses. For example, jumping ability. Man, my vertical was a 40. It wasn't a 46 or a 45. My hands are big, but they're not massive. Right, so you got to figure out ways to strengthen them so your hands are strong enough to be able to palm a ball and do the things that you need to do. Quickness, I was quick, but not insanely quick. I was fast, but not ridiculously fast. Right, so I had to rely on skill a lot more. I had to rely on angles a lot more. I had to study the game a lot more. And but I enjoyed it though. So like from the time I can remember when I started watching the game, I studied the game, and it just never changed.
Like, we used to have an All-American camp that I used to go to, and at the time when I first showed, I was a sophomore, and one of the things I would do is while everybody would be at the cafeteria, work, eating and doing all sort of stuff, I just go back to the gym. I just go back to the gym. And it's just,
they'd be resting,
and they'd see me leave, right? But now you're in a tough position because you're like, okay, I want to be like I'm following the kid to go work out, but I know he's working, he's up early, and he's doing all this other stuff. And so that was my way of showing them, I may be from the suburbs, but you're not going to outwork me.
Well, I tried to find a balance, right? I tried to do both. you know, I had a great deal of energy. So if there was a school party going on or something like that, I mean, I'd play basketball for a few hours. You know, I'd do what I have to do and have fun doing it, and then I'd go to the party, and I'd show up and I'd have a good time, have fun, and I'd be up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, working out, and you know, training the next day. So I try to do both.
So it's my responsibility to make sure everybody's holding themselves accountable. I'm holding you accountable. If we just played a back-to-back and we have practice the next day, your ass better be there, tape ready to go, right? Because I'm there and I'm ready, and I just got finished lifting weights for 2 hours, right? So I hold guys to a higher standard.
Before you start a game, how can you lock in and get into that mental space where nothing else matters? You're completely locked in and focused on what you're trying to accomplish as an athlete out here. The noise of the crowd doesn't matter. Whether the cheering or booing doesn't matter. You're just completely locked in. How do you do that?
That was one of those zone moments, man, where like things happened and it just led to that big moment. But like Andrew Bynum, we just lost the game before. Yeah. He got an injury against Memphis, right? And so I'm like, we just lost to the Celtics in 08. We're thinking we got Andrew who's gonna make a big difference for us. Now he goes down. We don't know how long he's gonna be out for. The team was a little deflated. I was pissed off. You know what I mean? Because it's like, no, we're winning the championship this year, come hell or high water. And my guys were down. Yeah. And going into New York, big game, I said, all right, I got to send a message to my guys and say, no, listen, we're doing this. I understand it's hard, you went down, but damn it, we're getting it done.
At 13 years old, you know, I played the longer game because my game wasn't about being better than you at 13. It was to be better than you when, you know, the chips are really on the line. So when we played at 13, I would size you up and see what your strengths and weaknesses are. How do you approach the game? Are you silly about it? Are you goofy about it? Are you good at it just because you're bigger and stronger than everybody else, right? Or is there actually thought and skill that you put into it, right? And when I'd play to my weaknesses. I wouldn't play to my strengths. I played to my weaknesses. Because when you're playing summer basketball, there's so many games. So there's not a lot of skill work being done. So when are you going to get better, right? When you're playing in competition situations, you're only playing to your strengths. Why? Because you want to win. Right? So what I would do, I was work on the things during those games that I was weak at. Left hand, pull-up jump shot, post game. Right? So I have a strategy. And so then fast forward to when I'm 17 and my game is completely well-rounded and that player at 13 that I saw at 13 is still doing the same shit at 17, now you got a problem.
Like my basketball team, for example, when I have the girls run lines, and you know, we could just as easily say, like I had a parent who was encouraging his daughter. She was running 17s, and he was encouraging her. Come on, you can do it, dig deep, dig deep. And then after practice, I go to him and say, you know, when she's doing those line drills, don't say anything. Because there's a conversation that's happening inside of her head. She's like talking to herself, trying to pump herself up to do it. She's already having those conversations. So for an outside voice to come in, to give her guidance and to give her the push to keep going actually interrupts her process. Just let her be. Let her figure it out herself. Because as they go through life, as parents, we're not going